Hello again everyone, this is your boy Jesse Cole the Collecting Nerd, and welcome back to another video. For today's video, I'll be discussing Senjutsu by Iron Maiden, a band who's formative to the taste of almost every metalhead, including myself. Similar to my review of Mercenary by Bolter, my impressions of the songs on here will be based on my first few listens of the songs and the album itself, with the exception of Stratego and Writing on the Wall. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Kicking off this album, we have the title track Senjutsu. The song is a mid-tempo tale about surviving and fighting off conquerors. Maiden has always had the songwriting ability to write stories from the perspective of these faceless characters that are often in them. The two small solos in the song, though, keep the track from feeling like it's too repetitive and stale. And it serves to be a saving grace in the song, but personally, it's not what I would choose as an album opener. So it gets a 5 out of 10. I had a feeling that Stratego was going to be one of my album highlights since I first heard it. Stratego makes up for the lack of sheer energy that Senjutsu is missing, in my opinion. For that, I feel like Stratego would have been a better choice to open the album with. It gets a 7 out of 10. When Iron Maiden released the music video for Writing on the Wall, it was the first time in 6 years that we've heard new music from the band. With that being said, I was pumped to listen to it. Since then, the song has become a little bit more difficult for me to get into. To me, the tone sounds more like southern rock than heavy metal, and it doesn't really pick up until the chorus, so it gets a 5 out of 10. Lost in a Lost World was difficult to listen to all the way through, even though I do enjoy longer songs. The main issue is the repetitiveness. If they shorten the track just a little bit, I don't think anyone would have minded, but after a while, I personally lost interest in it, and it's a bit of a background track for me, so it gets 4 out of 10. Days of Future Past, along with Stratego, are the shortest songs on the album. It's another mid-tempo song that doesn't bring that intensity that I like when it comes to shorter Maiden tracks. Despite that, it is kind of catchy, and I think it might be a song that grows on me within the future. It gets a 6 out of 10. The Time Machine was an unexpected highlight of the album for me. It's a fun song to listen to, and I think it has their intention for this one. It doesn't feel mundane like Lost in a Lost World. Let's see what the rest of the album has in store, though. It gets a 6 out of 10, just like Days of Futures Past. At first, I thought the song was gonna match the energy of the Time Machine, but personally it didn't, and the lyrics seem a little bit dull in my opinion. It doesn't tell much of a story. It kind of drags on throughout the song with little change in pace, and to me I kind of find that boring. It's just not really within my wheelhouse. The instrumental section of the song was a bit boring to listen to as well, so again, it gets a 4 out of 10. Death of the Celts is another highlight of the album. The thing is that it is a bit longer than Darkest Hour. It does blow the fucking song out of the water, though, in my opinion. It has the feel of a classic Maiden track in the sense that it's unpredictable. It has a few different changes in pace, and I like that in Maiden track. And it's just one of my album highlights, like I mentioned earlier, so it gets a 7 out of 10. The Parchment. What I like about it is that it carries the momentum of Death of the Celts, and I also like the ebb and flow of the track, just like Death of the Celts as well. It also grabs my attention with each listen. It doesn't necessarily feel monotone like some of the other longer songs on this album, and it's another highlight for me, so it gets an 8 out of 10. It's the highest rated song in the album. And last but not least, we have Hell on Earth. It's a little bit longer than I like, but as soon as the main riff kicks in, the momentum throughout the song. That being said, I wish this wasn't placed as the last track of the album. I feel like it could have done a lot better if it was placed in the middle. It would have been more fun to listen to. It wouldn't feel as long-winded. Like, the album itself wouldn't feel as long-winded if Hell on Earth was, like, in the middle of the album instead of towards the end. So, it gets a 7 out of 10, and also, The other reason why is that I'm not a huge fan of albums where the ending is just a song that fades. It kind of lacks oomph, and if there's one thing that Iron Maiden adds, it's a lot of sizzle on top of the steak, and there isn't a whole lot of sizzle at the end of that song. So, I listened to the album all the way through, and I was expecting to get bored, but I didn't. The songs I like still fit the album in the sense where the bad ones don't stick out like a sore thumb, but in the same sense, the good ones don't necessarily stick out either, with the exception of Stratego and Death of the Celts. Those are the ones that I actually just pause whatever I'm doing and listen to, but for the most part, the album is a background album. It's not necessarily something I would introduce an Iron Maiden fan. It's not something I would introduce to someone trying to get into Iron Maiden or necessarily heavy metal itself. My personal favorite songs on here are Parchment, Time Machine, and Stratego. Uh, then I do plan on reviewing another album after this, but I'm going to have to definitely find something a little bit better because this album is a 5 out of 10 for the reasons that I just listed earlier. So, if you like what you saw, cool. If you disliked the video, then that's also cool. No one's going to see the dislikes anyways, therefore I'm not going to give much of a fuck, but I'd appreciate it if you liked or commented. And let me know what review you want to see next from me. This has been your boy Jesse Keller, the Collecting Nerd, and I'm out of here. Deuces.